morning, everybody. Good morning. I've got to make just one small correction. I'm not a congressman yet. I'm a city councilor, but I'll take that promotion. You know, I'm the only Latino on the Boston City Council. So, I have a sense of what it feels like to be just a little bit different than those who are around you. When I go to work, it's just me, you know. The nice thing is that the Latino caucus is always strong and unified, unless I disagree with myself.
I can't.
But the bad thing is you find yourself playing more defense than offense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was looking over the conference workshop, just reading them through. And you get a good sense of the organization that puts together a conference based on what the workshops that you see on a piece of paper. You could almost get a sense of what the priorities for that organization is. And I'm really excited about this, and I want to just congratulate everyone who helped put this together. So if you get a sense of what you're seeing here, it's how to advocate for your own rights, how to take care of yourself, and how to make sure that not only are you comfortable being you, but those around you understand that they have to be comfortable with who you are. And that's just by reading this, that's the sense of what I think today's all about. And so as we think about advocating for rights, often we make the mistake, those of us who find ourselves advocating for our own rights, that we're somehow asking somebody to give us something. And we behave that way. But that's wrong on its face. Because everything we want are rights we were born with. What we're asking is for somebody to stop getting in the way of what belongs to us. You see the difference?
Yeah.
When many, many years ago, when women were organizing for the right to vote, they actually weren't asking for a right that shouldn't have already have been theirs. They were asking that men stop getting in the way of the right that was already theirs and that was being denied to them. When blacks and Latinos were fighting for the rights to vote, does anybody believe that you shouldn't have had the right to vote and somehow that was a great gift? No. It was about making sure that people denying those rights, getting in the way, obstruction those rights, stop. Well, that's what we're talking about when we're talking about LGBTQ issues, and it's also what we're talking about when we're talking about Hispanic and black issues. And then this is a group that brings everything together. I can tell you how this Puerto Rican ended up being, and I'm very proud of my LGBTQ record, easily, I can't think I've been against anything anybody brought to me that had to do with LGBTQ rights. I don't have the experience of it. And it's funny how it happened. It's because of my parents. When I grew up, my father had left the Catholic Church and joined the Church called United Church of Christ. It ain't going to be a religious conversation, but I'll tell you how it brought up. So I go to UCC, and my pastor one of my pastors is a lesbian. I'm growing up in this, and I watched gay marriages. I mean, I've been to quite a few as a kid. Now I'm 33 years old. So when I'm talking about a kid, I'm talking before the law. But I'm sitting there watching this, and I'm seeing this all happen. And I remember going to college later. I was at UMass, and I ended up becoming the head of the Latino Student Center there at UMass. And right next door to us was the LGBTQ Center. Well, since I grew up seeing all this stuff, it was very easy for me to work with the group. And they invited me to a meeting that they were having. I still can't believe how confused I was, but they invited me to a meeting they were having about gay marriage. And I thought to myself, what a strange thing we talk about in college, marriage. Who in college is worried about being monogamous? Right? So I was sitting there going, I guess they want to talk about marriage, then okay, we'll go talk about marriage. Mind you, I had seen gay marriage throughout my life growing up. And so I'm sitting there, and we sit circle style, and people start talking, and then it hit me. Wait, gay marriage ain't legal? I didn't even know, because I had seen it. And so I was sitting, when it got to me, I remember being like the dumb one in the room, you know, and I was like, I have a question. You guys can't get married? And they were like, no. And I was like, then what the hell have I been seeing? You know? And so at some level, I use that a lot to let people know is that we construct our own norms. Do you see that? It was perfectly normal for this little 6-year-old to see a woman marry a woman, a man marry a man, to see a person leading the church who was a woman who was into women. All that stuff was perfectly normal for this person. And I think that may be what it might be that makes it just so easy for me. It's been so natural. And I think the more work organizations like you do, and the more work that allies like I do, make it so that it becomes that way for the generations coming up. Well, we're constructing our own norms, and our norms include a lack of hate for someone who's different than you. Because that's taught. You have to teach a young person not to like somebody because of who they are, what they look like, and who they love. You have to teach that. And so I think today, part of what's happening is the beginning, is not the beginning, it's the second year, but it's a process of how do we become the teachers who correct, right, some of the things that people have been taught, who fix it. How do we ensure that we understand that we're not advocating for anyone to give us a right? We're advocating for them to stop denying us a right. Very different. And I would ask all of you, of course, sometimes we use that term, speaking to the choir. People have heard that before. Duh, I'm speaking to the choir, right? Like that just happened. But just know that it is the choir's job to increase the membership of the church. And so, many of you came here because you have friends here, right? You came here because you either know full well who you are, or you're still questioning and thinking about who you are when it comes to your sexuality and your gender identity. But I hope that all of you leave here thinking that you do have a responsibility. Because this conference, you ever hear knowledge is power? You know why that is? It isn't because you have knowledge and you keep it to yourself. It's because you have knowledge and you act on it. And you work on it. So whatever you learn at this conference, if you walk out of here, right, and it really just ended up being a networking session for you, so you didn't walk out using what you learned to help make sure that other people don't face what maybe you have faced throughout your life, or to make your life better and those of your neighbors better, then you didn't really get much out of this. But if you walk out of here and you now become a soldier in that struggle for social justice, and that we treat everybody with respect, and we stop using the word tolerant, because I don't really care if you tolerate me. I need you to respect me, right? I need you to understand that we should be included in decisions that affect our lives. Then we're making change. Then we're making a difference. And any of you, I know it's harder for some than others, the process of coming out, and people's families are in different places when they hear it, and people's friends are in different places when they hear it. But I'm certain all of you who have made the decision to come out and publicly define who you are have felt some pushback. Whether it's at school, in your neighborhoods, with your family, with your friends, your so-called friends, whoever it was, you felt some pushback. Well, let's work to make sure that next kid coming up, it's much easier for them to be who they are and to love who they want to love, to be happy. So I thank you for the time. More importantly, though, I thank you for taking the time to be here yourself. And I want to thank Corey and Quincy for the work they're doing. They stay on my phone as much as you can believe. I think I might have to be paying these people for the amount of time that we spend together. But I just thank you for what you're doing. This is such an important organization. It's such important work. And bless all of you. And let's know that the work doesn't end today. It really just begins in this moment. And maybe next year when we get here, we can talk about even more stuff that we want. Which is, like I said, you're not winning a right. You're winning somebody stopping from getting in the way of one of your rights. All right, so thank you so much for